Hi, good morning guys, thanks for joining me. Hope everyone's well, hope everyone's managing to get through the week. And another rough week to say the least. Coming through the woods this morning, there's quite a few trees blown over and snapped. So my heart goes out to those of you living next to rivers and that kind of thing. You know, looking at Mark's video the other day down on the Y, he was saying down there that the levels have never been this high, you know, ever since records have started. So just coming through this morning, like I say, there's quite a few trees blown over. So I have just picked myself up just a little piece of willow and just cut it down. What I thought we'd do, let's talk about carving kits and carving tools, that kind of thing, because I've had a few questions asked about the spoon carving video which I did, just asking which were my favourite kind of tools and that kind of thing, so I did say that we'd do a quick video. So with that piece of willow which I picked up first thing this morning, I've just carved out a very rough spoon blank. What I thought we'd do is just run through the tools in sequence, so starting off with the saws, the hatchets and that kind of thing, then we'll work our way through, going through the hook knives, the carving knives, all the way to the very end appliance and putting the oil on. So we're just going to start off with the saws, and when it comes to saws, most of us seem to carry them anyway. So obviously the larger the item, the larger the saw, so if it is you're going to be carving out things like garden furniture, you might use a bow sword or a chainsaw. But when it comes to greenwood carving like this, everything seems to come down in size. You know, you don't want to be using tools which are too heavy. You know, when it does come to carving, say let's say a spoon, you will have the knife in your hand for quite a while, so again, having good reliable tools, something which is nice and comfortable, is just going to take the stress off the job, make it just a little bit more enjoyable. Okay, so I've laid all the items out, basically the carving kit which I have, and this is pretty much everything. And the beauty of it is, everything like I say is nice and compact, so it means then that you can bring things out. You can pretty much bring all your tools out if you wanted to, and spend the day carving whilst out in the woods. So like I mentioned, I'm just going to start off with the things which we're going to use first, and that's things like the saws. So there's various different sorts when it comes to greenwood carving, like I was saying. Things like your spoons, your spatulas, perhaps little mushrooms, that kind of thing. Then you don't need overly big tools. So the largest saw which I tend to carry is the Gomboy, and this is a 240, and this is perfect basically for wood around about 4 or 5 inches in diameter, something like that, and that's pretty much the kind of thickest of which I'm going to use. But again, a lot of people do carry things like the Baco Laplanders, an awesome saw. This one's seen better days. I used this for around about 5 or 6 years, and that was ideal. But I do like the Silkies because at the end of the day they don't leave any saw marks at the end of the work. So like this maul here which are carved, you've got a nice flush end. It doesn't really make any difference on the maul. I'm just showing you there the difference between if you're using the Baco, which is going to leave saw marks, compared to the Silky, and it does leave you with a nice surface. And then one other saw which I do carry is a smaller version, and again very fine teeth on it, and that's perfect for finishing the work off. Again, for these kind of things, when you're going to saw them, it doesn't leave any saw marks on the work. So if you're going to be cutting bigger pieces of wood, then something like a bow saw or a chainsaw. But for the majority of the work, these are the kind of saws which I like to carry, which are things like the Bacos and also the Silkies. So once you've harvested your wood, the next thing which you want to do is perhaps split it down. So having a good mallet or a good maul is always worth having. And these kind of things you make yourself. A great little project, they don't take too long to make. And depending on the kind of tools or the kind of wood which you're splitting down, and these can be made from any size. I make them smaller for knocking trout, using them as a priest. And I've actually made some real big fat heavy ones for work. But this one here is made out of sycamore, and when it does dry, it is very hard and do last a good time. So we're going to use that in conjunction with a knife or perhaps a hatchet if it is that you're going to be splitting your wood down. So a good quality little hatchet is always worth the money. So if it is that you want to buy the best kind of hatchets for the best steels, the best materials and that kind of thing, then perhaps a Halterford or a Granford, something like that. But these Robin Wood carving hatchets are really nice, 500 gram head, very comfortable to use, and it is a British company, so it's nice to support these companies. So the steel on it isn't the best steel I've ever used. It does need a little bit of sharpening from time to time, but instead of paying around about £140 for a Granford carving hatchet, something like that, you can pick one of these up for around about £30. So that there can be used again for splitting the wood down, like I was saying, for roughing out things like spoon blanks and that kind of thing. It's just going to save the edge on the knife, and it's also a little bit quicker. So when it comes to picking yourself a hatchet, look for one with a short length handle. Most of this cutting is done with the wrist, unlike a bigger axe where it's done with the elbow. And then again, something nice and comfortable that you can choke up on, so that you can make finer little cuts with it. And then one thing just next to it there is just an old boxwood rule. This one is around about 100 years old, belonged to my great grandparents. And this is ideal just for measuring out the bits of timber which you're going to be cutting prior to using. And again, it folds up, it can go in the kit, it's stored out of the way. And then just in conjunction with the hatchet, one thing which I do like to bring out with me is some kind of sharpening device. So these little pucks are worth the money. These gramphers are quite expensive. A lot of people say that the Langsby pucks are just as good, but I've only ever tried one of these, to be fair. But again, nice and compact, you can keep that in the kit. It just means then you can keep the hatchet in good condition. Okay, so once you've split the wood down and you've roughed out perhaps a shape of a blank, the next thing that you want to do is the carving itself. So I do carry a few different carving knives. Now, it's not going to be a case of talking about makes really, it's more about the uses of what the knives are about. So I've got 3 carving knives here which I do like to carry, like I've seen, whether singly or as a set like this. So probably the most popular carving knife on the market is the Mora 120. Absolutely awesome little carving knife, nice and reliable, good quality steel. The handle shape is a very basic shape, but the thickness of it means that you can hold that all day. It's a very comfortable knife to use. So the steel which they've used, it is a laminate steel, so inside is a carbon steel, wrapped around the outside is a softer alloy. And I do like the Scandi grind on them, perfect for carving and also for sharpening and maintaining that edge. So 2.7mm thick, rounded off spine, so if it is that you're going to be cutting with your thumb on the spine there, it is nice and comfortable. Then having that slender point at the end means any kind of finer cuts that you may want to do is going to be possible with the knife. So for these kind of things, anywhere around about £20, so reasonably cheap. And when you buy them, they do come with a plastic edge guard or a little plastic sheath. Like this one, I've just made just a leather sheath for it. And then just running along the same lines as the 120, another very popular knife is the 105. Again, you can just tell there, slight difference in the handle, also longer blade length. So the 105 blade length is 60mm, this one here is 80mm. But everything else about it is the same, so 2.7mm thick there, just on the spine, rounded off spine, with a nice fine tapered point, Scandi grind. Exactly the same kind of steel, but again, another nice knife if you're going to be using it for long periods of time. But also the longer length means if you're going to be cutting away wider pieces of wood, it makes it a lot easier, perhaps just using just a shorter length blade on the other knife. And that was the reason why I tend to carry both of them. But if I was just going to go with one, I'd perhaps go with the longer knife. It just means then, like I was saying, when it comes to cutting away wider pieces of wood, it makes it a lot easier, plus also for them finer cuts. You've also got that real nice fine tip there for doing any kind of work. And then the final carving knife which I tend to carry in the carving kit, slightly different shaped blade, and this is one of Ben Orford's Sloyd knives, or English Sloyd knife. And these cost a bit more money, it's 01 tool steel, and I tend to use this for the majority of the work. You know, I brought this after buying the Moras. I wanted to support a British company, and I do like Ben's tools anyway. And these are perfect with the shape of the handle for having in your hand all day. Very light, Scandi grind, razor sharp, and perfect for pretty much all the work. You sometimes pair these up with a finer tip knife, so if it is you wanted to carry a couple, then I tend to go with Ben's knife with the smaller one there for the finer work. But these kind of things are going to set you back around about £45, where a Mora, like I said, you can pick up for around about £20. But again, it's all down to your own personal preference. But if you've never come across Ben's tools before, I will leave the links in the description box, because he does make a real nice tool. And these come just a basic edge protector. So those are the carving knives which I carry. In conjunction with them, I will be wearing the belt knife. Again, that's perfect for bigger projects, like when I did the chair the other week. I carved the notches out using the belt knife, and again for splitting down wood, that is also a good knife. Then another knife which I like to use for carving is the Enzo Necker. It's got a full tang, so again perfect if you want to split little pieces of wood down, or if you're going to be carving bigger notches or removing bigger pieces of wood. Again, a great knife to carry. So when it comes to knives, it is very similar to belt knives. Everyone's got their own personal preference. Well, these are the kind of things which I carry, and I've been very, very happy with them. Okay, so after the straight knives, which are going to be perfect for carving things like little mushrooms or spatulas, that kind of thing, you perhaps want to progress on just so that you can carve things like bowls for cups, spoons and that kind of thing. So then we're going to go into hook knives, and I've just got 3 different sorts here, and again the most popular out there are probably the Moras. But I did have Moras to start off with, absolutely brilliant knives, but over the years I've swapped them with people, and now I've got myself here a set of Ben Orfords. So very, very similar. I'll just zoom the camera in just a little bit, just to give you a closer look. And there's various different sorts which you can get. You can get a single edge knife, you can get a double edged, you can get a left-handed, or you can also get a right-handed. So this one here is a right-handed knife, so the cutting edge being at the bottom. So being right-handed, it means then that I can cut towards myself. And then the beauty of them is, if you've got yourself a double-sided knife, it means that you can cut towards yourself and then you can turn the knife around and go in the opposite direction. But I chose to go with the single-edged knives because I sometimes like to put my finger just on the back. So with that, I've had to get myself a left-handed knife, but you do learn over time that you can just turn the piece of work around and just cut towards yourself with a right-handed knife. So I've got 2 different sorts here. Them 2 look very, very similar, and those are a medium curve. And the deeper the curve, the deeper that it will cut into the wood itself. So these kind of things, perfect for spoons, also small cups, that kind of thing. If it is that you want to start carving cookses, that kind of thing, then you're perhaps better off going with gouges. And then this one here, very, very similar to the other 2, except we've got a shallower curve, and again this one's going to be perfect for spoons. And the handle shape just a little bit different. Just compare that with the straight handle. Ben's put more of an ergonomic shape handle just on there so that you can use it in various different fashions. So if you want to get more purchase on it, you can hold it in that grip or just in the standard grip like so. So when it comes to putting your kit together, you don't have to spend a fortune. I have seen kits on eBay. Someone did ask me, what did I think of them, but just looking at the reviews, I don't think they're worth, to my opinion. People were complaining about the steel, they were coming dull, the hook knives they had to keep sharpening. So the beauty about buying the individual tools and making up your own kit, you've then got the choice of the kind of things that you want to buy. Like I said, you haven't got to go with £40–50 hook knives. The Mora knives are very, very good. Just running along the same with the straight knives there. Mora knives are very, very good again. and again they're not going to cost you more than around about £20. So for around about, I'd say 80 quid, you could probably get yourself a decent small little kit together. And the beauty of it is, once you've got your kit, the materials tend to be free. So like I say, I picked this up this morning. Unlike the leather work where you have to pay for the leather once you brought the tools, with the wood carving, once you've got everything that you're going to make is going to be free, more or less. And then that just brings me on to the last couple of items. So one of them is a strop, just a small field strop, which is nice, just a sharpening, just a straight edge knives, and also if you want to strop the hatchet, that kind of thing. And also just a pencil, just so that you can draw and mark the wood, depending on the kind of project which you're going to be doing. And then the last thing, which I like to carry, is just a small little tin. This is coconut oil and beeswax, which is perfect for the wood. You can also use it on leather, you can also use it on the tools. This is something which I make, it's 70%, which is the coconut oil, and then 30% beeswax. I just melt them in tins and then just pour them into the small little carrying tins. And then for carrying the tools around, various different things out there on the market. This is one of those, these tool rolls, very nice. Also got little eyelets there so you can hang it up in the workshop, and again perfect just for transporting the tools about when you carry them in the rucksack. So there we have it guys, just a real quick video. Hope that's helped the people out that asked the questions about the knives and the tools. And I'm not sure if the camera's picking this windows up, but these trees now starting to bend over again, so I'm just going to get things packed up and get myself back off home. So like always guys, I just leave me to say thanks a lot for you stopping by and watching the video. Like always, until next time, you take care and I'll see you again.